You ever wonder what the real difference is between those machine learning projects you spin up on your laptop and the giant systems running at places like Google or Amazon? Yeah, the gap can feel huge, right? But it's not some kind of magic. There's actually a pretty clear path that almost every pro follows. So let's break down that journey level by level.
So here's a question I hear all the time. Why won't my ML project land me a job? So many people get stuck in this loop, right? You're building project after project, but nothing. You're not getting those interviews. The thing is, it's probably not about how hard you're working. It's about understanding what the industry actually wants to see. So how do you finally break through?
Well, it all comes down to understanding this 5-level framework. Seriously, think of it like a roadmap. It'll take you from being a total beginner all the way to an industry leader. And by the time we're done here, you're going to know exactly where you are on this map and what you need to build to get to that next stop.
All right, let's dive in. Level 1. This is where everyone, and I mean everyone, starts their journey. We'll call this the notebook beginner. It's the foundation.
So what's the focus at this stage? It's really simple, learning the ropes. You're basically in a sandbox, usually a single Jupyter notebook, playing around with clean, pre-packaged datasets. The goal here isn't to build the next big thing, not yet. It's just about getting your hands dirty and getting comfortable with the core ideas of machine learning.
And your toolkit here is pretty straightforward but super effective for learning. You're probably grabbing data from a place like Kaggle, you're using pandas to mess with the data, matplotlib to make some plots, and of course, scikit-learn to train some basic models, like a linear regression. And everything, your code, your notes, your charts, it's all mixed together in one notebook, which is great. You get that instant feedback loop, which is exactly what you need when you're starting out.
And look, this is an absolutely crucial first step. But let's be real. These clean, perfect little projects are a million miles away from the messiness of a real-world application. You're not worrying about things like data leakage or if your model can handle a million requests. And when you start bumping up against those limitations, that's when you know it's time to level up.
Which brings us to level 2, the structured professional. This is where things start to get serious. You're moving past just experimenting, and you're starting to build projects that look and feel professional.
The big change here, the key shift, is moving from those kind of messy, one-off notebooks to organized, reproducible projects. You're finally tackling more realistic, messy data. And you're adding a layer of structure to your work that just wasn't there at level 1. You know, the jump from level 1 to 2 it's all about structure. So instead of that one giant scrolling notebook, you're now building an organized Python project, probably with different files for different tasks. You're ditching the squeaky clean Kaggle data from messy, real-world stuff that comes from different places. You're also moving from just randomly shuffling your data to using proper train, validation, and test splits. And you're graduating from the basic models to more powerful stuff like LightGBM, or maybe even your first simple neural networks.
So what does a level 2 project actually look like in practice? Well, imagine you're building a customer churn model. First, you're not just using one CSV file. You're building a pipeline to pull in data from multiple places, maybe transaction logs and customer support tickets. Then you hit a classic real-world problem, class imbalance. So you have to use a technique like SMOT to fix it. And you're not just judging your model on simple accuracy anymore. You're using metrics that actually matter to the business, like precision recall curves.
Okay, so you do all that. You build this awesome, robust model. It's performing great. You show it off, and then you get the question. Okay, this is a great model. When can we use it? And that one little question, it changes everything. It pushes you right out of the world of pure data science and smack into the world of engineering. And that brings us right to level 3, the production engineer. This is the big leap. This is where your models have to leave the comfy nest of your laptop and survive out in the wild, serving real users and actually making the business money. At this level, you're suddenly dealing with a whole new universe of tools. This is MLOps. You're wrapping your models in Docker containers. You're building APIs with something like FastAPI or Flask so other services can talk to your model. You're setting up dashboards in Grafana to monitor everything. And you're not just versioning code anymore, you're versioning your data and models with tools like DVC and MLflow. The entire focus shifts. It's not just about accuracy anymore. It's about latency, throughput, and rock-solid reliability. Yeah, level 3 project isn't just a model anymore. It's a live service. Think about a content recommendation engine.
It's not just a script you run once. It's packaged in Docker, it's deployed as a microservice, and you're tracking live metrics. You're watching for things like data drift to see if the world has changed underneath your model. It's like you didn't just build a brain. You built the entire life support system around it to keep it alive and working.
Okay, so once you've mastered putting models into production, the journey gets even more specialized. Now we're talking about levels 4 and 5. This is where you either learn to build at an absolutely massive scale, or you start pushing the very boundaries of what's possible. So level 4 is all about scale, industrial scale engineering. We're talking about using big cloud platforms like AWS or GCP, orchestrating huge systems with Kubernetes, and using things like feature stores. A classic example, building a real-time fraud detection system for a global bank. Then you've got level 5. This is the frontier. This is where you literally stop using the tech and you start inventing it. You're designing new neural network architectures from scratch or building autonomous systems that can make scientific discoveries on their own. This is the stuff that ends up in research papers.
Okay, so let's bring this all back down to earth. How does this actually map to your career? What level of project do you really need to get a job? Well, the honest answer is it totally depends on the job you want.
This chart right here, this might be the most important takeaway of the whole explainer. If you're going for an entry-level data scientist job, you have to be able to show solid level 2 projects. You need to prove you can handle messy data and see a project through from beginning to end. Now, for an entry-level machine learning engineer, level 3 is pretty much the minimum. They need to see you can put a model in a Docker container and serve it up with an API. Senior roles and MLOps positions, that's going to require level 4 skills. And if you want to be a research scientist, you've got to bring that level 5 frontier pushing work to the table.
But here's something really important to keep in mind. You don't need to be a level 5 genius to have an incredible career. The vast majority of ML jobs out there, I'm talking like 90% of them, fall squarely between level 3 and level 4. That's where most of the industry's work actually happens.
And please remember this piece of advice. It's about depth, not breadth. One comprehensive, well-executed level 3 project that solves a real problem that is worth so much more on your resume than a dozen little level 1 notebooks. Show that you can build something real and get it working.
So there you have it, the evolution of a machine learning project, from a simple experiment to a system that can change the world. Each level builds on the last. So the real question now is for you. Take an honest look. What level are you on right now? And more importantly, what are you going to build next to take that step up to the next one?